Alrighty, so I have woken up, I have risen, and I see that there is a good amount of the patch notes that have been translated by Grand Cross Database, so big shout out to them. There's always a link in my description for this website, by the way, if you ever need it. I just think it's a really great tool. But yeah, the 3rd anniversary patch notes are pretty much good to go. We have already watched the live stream. If you need to, you can go back and look at that. We pretty much reacted to the entirety of the entire Korean live stream, and they showed off a lot of cool stuff. They showed off the unit, of course, and everything. So if you want to see animations and stuff, feel free to go over there. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, and let's hop into this thing. So it is, of course, a 900 banner with a couple of interesting characters, of course, on it. And then the character translations are pretty interesting as well. So I think the last time that we had a character come out, there was a couple of people who were able to give me a rough translation of what some of her stuff did. But this character is very interesting now that it's actually been translated. So let's just hop in. This is the first light unit. They do have the light unit translation down a little bit further, so we'll look at that in just a moment. But the passive, when a specific ally uses a skill, increases basic stats of that ally by 4% up to a maximum of 6 times. If increased to max, recovers HP of all specific allies by 30% of max HP, then increases all of the hero's stats by 15% for 5 turns, not taking recovery rate into account. So what this means by specific ally, you can see down here, is this hero is considered to be a specific ally. The 7 deadly sins units, so anyone with that tag, or what do they call it? Is it called category, or I don't remember. Characteristic, I'm pretty sure, is what they call it. Where any of the 7 deadly sins characters that have this characteristic, which should be all of them if they're a 7 deadly sin, will be able to use this passive. And any of the 4 archangels as well. So this will be kind of sort of future-proofed for Mael whenever he comes out. But you know, Ludociel, Sariel, Tarmiel, and then any of the sins, you can basically pair this unit with, and you'll be able to actually increase their stats and stuff like that. So pretty interesting. I think it's good that it's not completely like locked down to one, you know, specific unit, or, you know, a very specific type of unit. It's still kind of specific, which I'm not super happy about. I kind of wish it was just, you know, could be used for everybody. This will definitely limit, you know, being able to use her with, you know, the 7 deadly sins or archangels teams, but you know, I mean, there's a decent amount of those characters, and they're pretty good characters regardless. So maybe it will help that you can't use her with you know, characters outside of that category. Maybe it'll help like lock her down to where she's not just running rampant all over the meta. I don't know. It's also kind of weird that it's like this too, because that makes me think that you know, if you're using her for like the bird or the deer or whatever the case may be, you know, your extra, like your Ragnarok characters that you run on those teams won't get the buffs, which is kind of bizarre. I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't think, from what I can understand and what I've seen of the unit, it doesn't really seem like she's going to be all that good for the deer, which was pretty much my only hope, was that it was going to help the deer out quite a bit, but I don't really think that's going to be the case. She does have a single target flood card, which is pretty interesting. If you don't know, flood does additional damage depending on how much HP you have. I can't remember if it's how much HP you have left, or if it's your maximum HP, or it's definitely not maximum HP. Sorry, the dogs are sneezing, but yeah, the character seems to be pretty HP based, even though the modifiers for the cards are off of attack, which is very interesting. So you can see down here, the second card is a brand new kind of skill that we've never seen before. Inflicts damage equal to 275% of attack on all enemies for each ultimate move gauge orb that the hero has. So Liz inflicts additional damage equal to 8% of max HP, so that makes you want to run sort of like HP gear to get maximum, you know, damage out of this card, which is very, very weird. And then the ultimate also scales off of max HP. So, of course, it's super whaley because they always end up doing that for these big anniversary units. And it's fitting because the animation for the ultimate is a giant whale. So, inflicts damage equal to 30% of the hero's max HP on all enemies. Apply revive on allies for 1 turn. So you definitely don't want this woman to get an ultimate off if possible if you're going up against one. And revive is when an ally dies, they are revived with 5% of maximum HP. Effect is removed upon reviving. Dying by reflect effect nullifies revive and uses it up. But the biggest problem that I have with it is that the damage scales at doubles, which is not that crazy, but then again, max HP is pretty hefty. Like we've seen what Bond can do with some, you know, HP modifiers and stuff, and it's kind of nuts. Which then again, I don't think she's gonna have quite that much HP. But instead of it reviving at 5%, at 6/6, it's 50%. So it's 10 times. You know, and they get half HP, and it's just, God, man, they just know how to really screw over the free-to-play players, I tell you what. But either way, we do get a new chapter 23. This one's actually pretty cool from what they showed off of it in the live stream, so that's kind of neat. Here is the new attribute light. So setting a light attribute hero to the team decreases allies damage taken by 10% from the characters with attributes that are strong against your allies. Okay, so that's actually kind of interesting. The light attribute hero has decreased damage taken from enemies of any other attribute by 10%. Light attribute effect does not stack. So definitely going to help your team tank a little bit more, whereas melee is more of the aggressive side, so dark kind of helps you deal more damage. So kind of interesting there. Honestly, like, I'm not too worried about this. This could be potentially like a nice small effect. I was kind of scared whenever melee came out that it was going to be like ridiculous, like, oh, why wouldn't you just run melee on every team because he has this additional effect because he's a dark unit kind of thing. But so far it really hasn't seemed like it made a super crazy big difference. This one is decreasing damage taken, so it could be a little bit stronger as far as that goes, so we'll kind of have to see. But I guess because she is the only light unit at the moment, and you want to pair her, you know, with either, you know, 7 Deadly Sins units or Archangels, that might help sort of like make this not as usable. I don't know. Obviously you can use this part for any units, but I don't know. We'll just kind of have to see how it works out. She does have some outfits. They're all pretty cool, if I'm being honest. I'm not, you know, super into the whole like cyber girl outfit, but it's still a really cool looking outfit. As soon as this one was shown off during live stream, people were very interested, of course. Another big thing is that they didn't really show this off during the Korean live stream, or else I didn't notice it because they didn't show the materials that were actually dropped by the new raid that we're getting. But they are increasing the level of units from 90 to all the way up to 100. And the big thing here is that there is a new evolution pendant that you're going to need for, I'm pretty sure it's both getting to level 95 and getting to level 100. And the problem is that to get this one material, this single UR pendant, you have to trade in 3 of the regular pendants. So that's 6 pendants per, which means that's 12 pendants per unit to get to level 100, which is very hefty, considering, like, at the moment I'm sitting on a decent amount of pendants, but those are going to get blown through insanely fast with these, you know, kind of like multiplying how many you're going to have to use. And I mean, for a really long time while I was playing the game, pendants were a huge issue for me. And like, I feel like I've just finally gotten to the point to where I'm not really spending a whole lot of pendants on units that I don't use. All of the characters that I do need, like, powered up, are powered up at this point. So I'm not going through pendants as much as I used to. Hey, calm down. But this is gonna absolutely shred through everyone's sort of, you know, like pendant like set, like whatever they have in their inventory. So this is a huge issue, maybe, or I don't know. They are also increasing the amount of pendants gained. I don't know if they have that in these like translated patch notes, but I did look through the actual original patch notes while I was laying in bed, and they are supposed to be increasing the amount of pendants you get from the stages and stuff like that, which will maybe make up for this. I don't know for sure if it'll really make that big of a difference, but pendants are already insanely, like, they're super stingy with them for no reason. Like, you already have enough trouble getting super awakening coins to like max out a character, but if you're gonna have to start worrying about pendants again too, then it's just gonna be a really bad time, and it's just gonna be really annoying. So hopefully they'll either address that or fix that or give out more pendants or whatever the case may be that needs to, you know, help equalize that whole thing. But yeah, the new raid that they showed off looked really cool in game. It does use or it does work the same as Belmoth, so you'll have to do hell death matches or hell boss battles to unlock it, and you can only do 3 of them a day. That's going to limit you on how many, you know, characters you can get to level 100 very easily, but if I'm not mistaken, they are going to be sending out a package. They showed it off in the regular patch notes. I think they're sending out, I think it's 33 SSR pendants. I think it's like 150-ish of the material that you get from this raid, and I think it's an extra copy of the new Red Hawk that they're getting in the mail as soon as this patch drops. So hopefully they will give you, that will be a decent amount to get at least like 1 or 2 characters powered up, I think. If I'm not mistaken, I think it takes 70 pendants or 70 of the Belmoth cores to get from 80 to 90. So if they give out that many, that should be 2 characters worth, I guess, if it's going by the same standard there, which maybe isn't a lot, but I don't know, it's something. Maybe it'll be all right. It's going to be one of those weird transition periods where not everybody that you go against in PvP is going to be maxed out immediately, unless they're just, you know, big whaling and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's going to be a weird transition period for this, but we'll kind of see how it goes. I guess it looks like the first 3 slots on these are like only for Belmoth, and then these ones are for the original demon, which is kind of cool. So I guess that's neat that it's split that way. And it looks like I'm assuming on all hell difficulty raids now, you'll have to bring the respective attribute. Dark units, of course, have already been added to all hells, and then light units are also to be added too. So you'll be able to use Liz on this new thing if you want. I don't know how good she'll be for it, but maybe good. Artifact cards, it's a new artifact card set, if I'm not mistaken. Aura of Light increases goddess race allies damage dealt in PvP by up to 10%. So that one is definitely something that you might want to have if you're running goddesses or just archangels in general. Card packs obtained from event boss challenges, event boss exchange shops, and roulette. They're also adding the relic for Hijack Gother, which is very interesting. I haven't actually read this yet, so when the hero's ultimate move gauge orb is maxed, or ultimate move gauge is maxed, increases all allies' attack-related stats by 25% for 2 turns. Okay, I actually don't hate that. I was always super like disappointed with how his ult sort of worked and deleting cards and everything like that. So the fact that you get a buff for all of your allies when you get your max ultimate move gauge is actually kind of cool. So that's really cool. I don't mind this at all. I think that that's actually a pretty decent passive. Hijack Gother is kind of annoying already, so there might be another big surge of Hijack Gother players as this drops, depending on what kind of materials it takes. He is an unknown unit, so I'm assuming it's going to take bird mats and then maybe the yellow little like puzzle slices thingies that you get. I can't remember exactly what those are called, but I think it's green ones. For a lot of the newer characters that they end up releasing, so maybe that'll be the case, not quite sure. System changes, Deathmatch Extreme / Hell drop improvements, so they are making it to where I think if I'm not mistaken, these are the minimums that you used to drop. You used to be able to get a stack of 2 at the very least, and they're doubling that to where the least you can get, I think, is 4. The chest drop will also be increased for Extreme and Hell modes. Okay, so and then the new raid is just defaulted to 4, whereas these are all getting pushed up to 4. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know if that'll make the biggest difference, to be honest, but maybe it'll be nice. They're also doing a huge login event where it's 10 diamonds a day for 4 weeks. So I'm pretty sure somebody in the chats last night said that this was around 270 diamonds, so almost a cool 300. You just have to log in each day for it, of course. They're also making it to where you can skip the login reward thing at the very beginning, like every time you log in or whatever, which is kind of nice because when you do it, it'll tell you, oh, hey, you got these rewards. So that's kind of cool. Not really hating on that. I don't know if they have it in here or not, but they also made it to where you can change the login character to, I'm pretty sure it's Margaret. It is Advent of Flash Ludociel, which I think is Margaret, because I think the other one is classified as Archangel Ludociel or whatever, or maybe it's Ludociel of Flash. I can't remember. But I think it's Margaret, which you can change, which is really cool because Margaret's best. Anyway, they're also making it to where you can now, in King's Material Exchange Shop, this isn't like the event exchange that he does, but not like all year round, you will be able to now exchange 10 rare pendants for SSR or SR pendants, which is good because I sit on a massive amount of these things. So maybe this will also help, you know, get these UR pendants, or just make sure that you can get these SSR pendants that you need. But I do have a ton of rare pendants. I have a ton of SR pendants. I think I need to just go through and try to make sure that I have all of my rare and SR units completely like powered up before I spend all of these, like, you know, upgrading them. But you can now exchange them for the next level, which is really good. I don't know. Hopefully, with all of the changes that they're doing with the pendants, it won't be super crazy trying to get all these characters to level 100 and stuff like that. Obviously, it's going to be kind of a slow grind to begin with, but as long as they give a steady stream of SSR pendants out, or ways to get them, it shouldn't be too bad, but we'll just have to wait and see. Of course, it's, you know, kind of weird. That's the login event. There are special missions where you can get 1 full multi's worth of tickets for the new banner, of course. And it is considered a grand festival, which is interesting. And the actual like finishing reward is like a token that you can use to actually like you can basically use this, and I'm hoping that they start giving these out more often, or maybe they make Merlin have an exchange for these as well, kind of like they did with the full awakening token thing. But this is going to let you you can use it as soon as you get a character that's level 1, and it will take them all the way from SSR level 1 to UR level 90. So you won't get level 100 from it. You'll still have to end up doing the original demon mats and stuff like that on your own, but this will bypass all of the just a ridiculous amount of powering up that it takes to get a character from level 1 to level 90. So that is really nice. Hopefully they're not super stingy with these, but I imagine they will be for a little while until they end up maybe adding an exchange for these or something like that. A couple of rewards and stuff like that from the roulette, which is cool. They're giving out new event outfits for some of the old 7 Deadly Sins units, which I'm not super thrilled about. Like, I mean, that's cool, I guess, but who's actually going to get any use out of those? They're also doing, this is called Boss Parade, and I thought that they were just going to be running all of these at one time, but it turns out that each week they're going to be rotating the boss out. So you'll do Kimara for 1 week, then it'll move over, and I can't remember this man's name, but Deer Man, it'll switch to him for 1 week, and then it'll switch to this guy for 1 week. I think this is Belarus or something like that. I don't remember any other names except for Kimara for some reason. But either way, yeah, they're going to be swapping through event bosses per week, and they will have their own respective exchange shops, so make sure that you're trying to do those when you can. They are doing lucky tickets again as well. You can get the Kamara card out of the exchange shop here, and you're going to be able to get a lucky ticket as well. So some of the decent stuff in here that you might want to try to get. They're also doing this Goddess Blessing thing, which I'm not super sure about. He didn't write any like extra like notes on this, but from what it looks like is you get 2,000 points, and you can basically use it to gain buffs for what seems like demon materials and stuff like that. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's going to increase the amount of demon materials you get after activating the respective buff or whatever. So should be kind of interesting there. Here's the level 90 thing that I was talking about. You can just use that and it'll get them all the way to level UR 90, which is cool. The lucky bags, of course, Goddess Blessing, which we just talked about. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this. It's going to be really interesting. Waiting for it to come out on global so that way I can actually go over all of the stuff because a lot of the stuff that they do in patch notes are like images like this, and you can't translate them. You'd have to take it through an image translator or something, which would be super annoying to do. So big shout out to Grand Cross Database for doing this. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys are, I don't know, excited or looking forward to some of this stuff. Some of it is maybe a little bit concerning, but yeah, that's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.